Thanks for staying with us. You're watching WION World is One. I'm Adya Juneja and this is Speed News. Let's start with all the stories making headlines today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi met US President Donald Trump at the G7 summit, marking the first in-person interaction between the two leaders in over a year. The two leaders shook hands, exchanged smiles and had a brief chat. Modi and Trump are slated to hold a bilateral later today. Sitting beside US President Donald Trump, Prime Minister Narendra Modi raised concerns over the safety of seafarers in the Strait of Hormuz. In his statement, PM Modi said those working at sea must be able to perform their duties, quote-unquote, without fear or threat to their lives. With Trump looking, PM Modi also quoted Ronald Reagan's famous maxim, "Trust but verify," saying that the world suffers from shortage of trust. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has said that India's participation in the G7 summit reflects a changing global order and the growing need for broader international cooperation to address challenges. Speaking on the sidelines of the summit, Carney said that G7 can no longer address major global challenges on its own and must increasingly work with partner countries beyond its traditional membership. Iran's military has threatened retaliation against Israel after strikes in southern Lebanon killed 4 people. Iran's Central Command, Khatam al-Anbiya, warned of a harsh response, calling the attacks Israeli aggression. Lebanon's state news agency said Israel targeted 2 vehicles in the town of Amay Fatoun and another in nearby Shukin, near the town of Nabati in southern Lebanon, killing 4. The Israeli military said it struck after identifying a suspicious vehicle and also responded to rocket fire with further airstrikes. The developments come as Iran and the US prepares for talks on a final agreement in Switzerland on Friday. Pope Leo has welcomed the interim agreement between the US and Iran aimed at ending the conflict in West Asia, saying thanks be to God ahead of its expected formalization on Friday. While speaking to reporters outside his residence in Castel Gandolfo, Italy, the Pope said he hoped the deal would bring a lasting end to the war. He also noted that while several issues still need to be resolved, dialogue and negotiations are always preferable to a return to fighting. Russian drone strikes hit a residential building in Zaporizhzhia, injuring 7 people. Ukrainian emergency services responded to the scene after a fire broke out in the building, damaging the roof and upper floors. Authorities said the strike was carried out using an Iranian-made Shahid drone. Ukraine State Emergency Service reported that rescue crews worked under the threat of possible follow-up attacks as they carried out operations at the site. Russia says one of its warships fired warning shots near a yacht in the English Channel after what it described as a dangerous approach by the vessel. The incident involved the Russian frigate Admiral Grigorovich and a UK-registered yacht located around 20 nautical miles south of the Isle of Wight, just outside British waters. Russia said it used signal flares and warning shots after attempts to contact the vessel failed. The UK Defence Ministry said the shots were not aimed at the yacht and called the incident isolated. The episode comes amid rising maritime tensions between the UK and Russia. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has visited Haiti, where escalating gang violence has displaced large parts of the population and killed more than 2,300 people this year. During his one-day visit to Port-au-Prince, Guterres said gangs have paralyzed the state, economy, education and aid delivery systems. He called for stronger international support, urging faster deployment and full backing of a newly approved 5,500 member gang suppression force. Now, the force, authorized by the UN Security Council in September, replaces a previous under-resourced mission led by Kenyan police. Guterres said the new mission offers a real opportunity to restore security and state authority as Haiti continues to face a deep political and humanitarian crisis. Brazil's Supreme Court has convicted former lawmaker Eduardo Bolsonaro, son of former President Jair Bolsonaro, for seeking U.S. interference in his father's coup trial. A panel of 4 justices unanimously sentenced him to 4 years and 2 months in prison, meaning he could face arrest if he returns to Brazil. The court said he lobbied the Trump administration to impose sanctions on Brazilian Supreme Court justices and tariffs on Brazilian goods, measures that were later scaled back. Eduardo Bolsonaro, who lives in the United States, said he was not properly notified of the legal proceedings and denied any wrongdoing. The ruling also bars him from running for public office for 8 years. Bolivian unions and farmers' groups have threatened to intensify nationwide blockades as political tensions rise under President Rodrigo Paz. Union leaders called for expanded protests after 47 days of disruption, with some demanding the president's resignation. At a town hall in El Alto, representatives said the movement could escalate roadblocks if demands are not met. The government, however, says the protests are increasingly political, accusing some groups of taking direction from Evo Morales' stronghold in the region. Well, the unrest comes as Bolivia also moves ahead with renewed anti-drug cooperation with the United States after an 18-year pause. Violence in Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo is disrupting efforts to contain an Ebola outbreak that has reached 808 confirmed cases across 3 provinces. Well, this is what the UN said. UN spokesperson Stephanie Dujarric said 21 new cases were reported as of 14th of June in Ituri, North Kivu and South Kivu, warning that clashes and displacement are increasing the risk of further spread. Well, he added that fighting in North Kivu forced hundreds of people to flee, while shelling killed at least 3 civilians and injured 5. The South Kivu continued airstrikes and gunfire that are further limiting humanitarian access. Protesters took to the streets of Tirana on Tuesday, calling for reforms and the resignation of the country's prime minister. The demonstrations in Albania initially began over plans for a luxury development along a protected coastal area, but have since widened into broader grievances against the government of Prime Minister Edi Rama, as well as criticism of the opposition and media. Now in its 3rd week, the protest movement has been dubbed the Flamingo Revolution by demonstrators. Visuals have surfaced showing people rushing out of a church in Indonesia after a powerful 6.7 magnitude earthquake struck Sulawesi Island on Tuesday. Surveillance footage captured worshippers evacuating the building as the tremor shook the area. According to Indonesia's geophysics agency BMKG, the quake's epicenter was located about 42 kilometers southeast of Palu at a depth of 10 kilometers. Authorities said there was no tsunami threat and no immediate reports of major damage or casualties. Malawian migrants displaced by anti-immigrant unrest in South Africa have been moved from a temporary shelter in Durban. The relocation comes amid growing tensions after mobs of South Africans carrying sticks, whips and shields marched through several communities demanding undocumented foreigners leave the country by 30th of June. Security fears have also prompted citizens of Malawi, Nigeria, Ghana, Zimbabwe and Mozambique to accept voluntary repatriation arranged by their governments. A shooting at a Delaware hospital has left at least one person dead and another injured. Police say the suspect remains at large as investigators review surveillance footage to identify and locate the attacker. The incident occurred Tuesday afternoon at Wilmington Hospital, which was placed on lockdown following the shooting. Christiana Care, which operates the facility, announced that patients were being diverted from the emergency department, while safety measures were being implemented to protect patients, staff and visitors. Authorities say the investigation is still ongoing. The U.S. Department of Defense has announced that U.S. Indo-Pacific Command or U.S. Indo-PACOM will officially be renamed the U.S. Pacific Command, returning to its former designation. U.S. PACOM, the command was originally established on January 1, 1947 under President Harry S. Truman and carried the name for more than 7 decades. It was later rebranded as U.S. Indo-Pacific Command in 2018. With this change, the military command restores a historic identity that has defined its role across the Pacific for generations. The U.S. Federal Communications Commission or FCC has relaxed parts of its restrictions on Chinese drones, allowing certain toy drones to be imported into the country. In December, the FCC moved to block new models of foreign-made drones, including those from Chinese companies, over national security concerns. The agency now says low-risk toy drones that have no cameras, limited flight capabilities, and no data collection features can enter the U.S. market. The FCC added that the exemption applies only to basic toy drones and not to advanced models subject to a broader ban. Meta's social media platform Threads have reached 500 million monthly active users, marking a major milestone for the app. Well, the app launched in 2023. It was to compete with Elon Musk's X. As it looks to keep users engaged and attract more advertisers, Meta has announced new features including Your Algo, which lets users customize their feeds, and expanded communities to help people find interest-based groups. The company said that communities have become a key driver of engagement on the platform. The European Commission has said that it cannot force video game companies to keep games playable after they are taken off the market. Well, the statement comes after French consumer group UFC Quechaucier sued Ubisoft over its decision to shut down the servers of the racing game The Crew, making it unplayable for customers who had bought it. While the EU says current copyright rules limit its ability to act, it plans to work with industry and consumer groups on voluntary guidelines for how companies should handle games at the end of their life cycle. Global markets traded cautiously ahead of the first Federal Reserve meeting under Chair Kevin Warsh. Asian stocks were mixed, with Japan's Nikkei gaining, while markets in South Korea and Taiwan edged lower. On Wall Street, technology stocks dragged the Nasdaq down, while gains in financial and industrial shares helped the Dow hit a record high. Bond yields eased across major markets as investors awaited signals on the future path of US interest rates. Currency markets were largely stable, with the euro holding near recent highs and the yen remaining under pressure against the dollar. Investors are expected to closely watch Warsh's comments for clues on whether the Fed will maintain a patient stance or signal a tighter policy outlook. Oil prices extended losses after reports that the US will waive sanctions on Iranian oil under a deal to end the Iran conflict continues. Brent crude slipped below $80 a barrel, its lowest level since the conflict began in March, as traders priced in the return of Iranian supply to global markets. Markets are also betting on a gradual normalization of shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, which is a key route for global energy trade. Analysts caution that a full recovery in oil flows could take months, but expectations of additional supply and easing geopolitical tensions have already reduced concerns over near-term shortages. Gold prices edged higher for a fifth straight session as easing concerns over US interest rate hikes boosted investor sentiment. Spot gold rose 0.4% to $4,348.93 an ounce, while US gold futures gained 0.3%, supported by optimism surrounding the US-Iran peace agreement and expectations that rates will remain unchanged. Investors are now focused on the Federal Reserve's policy decision and comments from Chair Kevin Warsh. Markets expect the Fed to keep rates steady, though policymakers are likely to signal a cautious stance on inflation. A softer rate outlook has supported demand for gold, which typically performs well in a lower rate environment. Other precious metals also advanced, with silver, platinum and palladium posting modest gains in early trade. Lionel Messi secured a hat-trick of goals as defending champions Argentina beat Algeria in their opening match at the FIFA World Cup. The Argentina superstar equaled Miroslav Klose's all-time record for goals at World Cup tournaments. Messi has so far scored 16th time in World Cups. The Argentina veteran, playing at a record 6th World Cup, scored from distance in the first half and poked home from close range in the second period. He completed his hat-trick in the 76th minute, sending the massed ranks of Argentina fans in Kansas City wild. And from music to theatre, one of Britain's most celebrated performers is receiving a lasting tribute. London's historic Shaftesbury Beauty Theatre will officially be renamed as the Judi Dench Theatre in 2027, honouring the legendary actor's remarkable contribution to the stage. Dench, who has spent decades captivating audiences in theatre, film and television, said the recognition was both humbling and overwhelming. The move also celebrates her long association with the venue and her enduring impact on British theatres, ensuring her name will remain part of the West End for generations to come. Two times Oscar winner Kate Blanchett has been appointed visiting professor at England's historic Oxford University. The Australian actor has been named the next Cameron McIntosh Visiting Professor of Contemporary Theatre for the academic year 2026-27. Past visiting professors include Stephen Sondheim, Ian McKellen, Arthur Miller, Stephen Fry and Diana Rigg, to name a few more. Blanchett is one of the most acclaimed actors of her generation. She gained international recognition with a portrayal of Queen Elizabeth I in Elizabeth. She went on to win 2 Oscars in her acting career. Well, that is it in this edition of Speed. But before we let you go, just a reminder to our viewers in India that you can watch all 2026 FIFA World Cup matches on Z5. Tune in and catch all the action live.